fired hotness.
HKP30L is $1,000. Is that real?
Yeah, it's for real.
That's crazy.
I know, it's fucking stupid. Retards will pay $1,000 for a plastic gun.
I would pay. I wouldn't buy a P30L, but whatever. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben Steger. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Joining me today, producer Candice, as always.
Hey, slightly less cool intro.
Angry Matt from supertactical.com is also here to GM that shit up. Today's discussion topic is an article from Modern Service Weapons.
Yeah, and it's actually, we're not really hating on it, which is kind of amazing. I think. Maybe we'll hate on it.
I might hate on it now just to,
okay. Well, it's called it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, and it's kind of arch quoting Dickens in Hail to Cities. But anyway, the gist of the article is that, who wrote this anyway? Jerry Jones wrote it, and he's saying that we live in the best time for semi-automatic weapons, pistols ever, because guns work good now, and they didn't always work good. I mean, that's the gist, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much the gist of it. Like, we should maybe the focus on equipment is unnecessary.
Yeah, that it's
whatever. Candice, you could put that in the show notes so people can read it.
Right, and he's saying that that we're basically splitting hairs over guns that are all functionally good enough.
I agree. I think he's making a really valid point. And if you think even in the last 10 years, just in the time I've been shooting USPSA, it's gone from, if you want to shoot production, it's pretty much going to be like Glocks, or like there's a few CZs floating around, or maybe you're some dumbass shooting a Beretta and that'll sort of work, to now it's like there's 10 Folios and AccuShadows and Glocks and SIG 320s, which apparently are awesome. And if you get an M&P that works properly, then that's fine. And there's a lot more options now of stuff that is good and stuff that works. So I don't think he's making a bad point. What's your take on it, Matt?
I don't know. I mean, what can you really say? It's not a terribly controversial article. I guess he's happy that in the last 10 years he listed the P30, the VP9. Well,
no, his examples are fucked up like a football bat.
Yeah, they are.
But I agree with this point.
Yeah, I mean, you can grab. There's probably 5 legit factory option guns you could buy, put less than $100 into, and use it as a pretty decent production gun.
Yeah, for production. Yeah, limited's still fucked up.
Well, I mean, it's not a terribly controversial point, I guess, if you're having a discussion. But if we go read internet forums, as all of us do, there is an awful lot of discussion about equipment. And hell, most of the bullshit that we talk about on the podcast is in some way, like equipment related, or I mean, that's the stuff that people like talking about. Honestly,
right?
Is this, like, what's the difference between a stock 2 and an AccuShadow, or whatever, just nonsense.
Right. Like there's some magical difference.
The article basically says, like, all cars will go 70 miles an hour, so you should be happy that you can buy any car that'll go 70 miles an hour. Like, yeah, all cars will go 70 miles an hour, but there are better ones and there are crappier ones, right? I mean, he's not saying that. He's saying we should be happy just that you can go to any car dealership and buy a car that will drive down the road, which is kind of a statement. I mean, it's not really a thing.
Oh,
that he makes it. I mean, it's not really a. I mean, it's kind of a non-point.
Well, I'm happy that that people can be picky about guns. I mean, I think it's kind of nice. Like, I thought the XDs were a good idea until I bought one for Kita and shot it a little bit, and then I'm like,
you did?
What? I was younger then. I didn't know, but I bought.
XD?
What's that?
Did you have no taste?
Serious question. I've never really shot one. What's wrong with it?
Well, number one, it's the most hideous thing ever. But
and it's made in Croatia. Okay.
No, the grip safety is stupid.
It is stupid. You can't take the thing apart correctly because of that.
I don't care about that. I mean, like, just
okay, whatever.
Like, the grip safety drives me fucking crazy. tried to use it. But whatever. Like the thing is, like the gun is otherwise pretty much okay in my opinion, and it's kind of like I can completely like if there's one thing about a gun like that I don't like, fuck it, it's done, it's gone. Like I don't even have to consider it. You know what I mean?
You don't have to deal with anything you don't like anymore.
Right, exactly. It doesn't matter if there's anything I don't like about it. The gun is gone. Like people might look at a CZ and be like, "Hey, the frame's a little too small for me." I mean, fuck it, it's gone. You can go get something else, right? Anything you don't like, you can buy something that suits you or suits your taste better. So I think that's a good thing. And really, there's not really a whole lot of excuses in terms of equipment anymore because, there's a lot of good stuff out there.
Huh.
All right. Anything else to say on that, Candice?
Not really. I mean, I'm actually glad we finally had something that we can be nice about. See?
What?
Well, sort of.
What do you mean, sort of nice?
Yeah.
Wow, who was sort of nice about it?
So let's go to some shooting questions.
All right, let's do a shooting question.
So while watching Training to Win, I noticed that you said to grip the gun with your hands, not your arms. I understand that you don't want to tense up the shoulders and upper arms while you're shooting. But is that all you're saying, or is this more of a reference to floating the gun? Will you elaborate on what you meant and how to apply it to your shooting?
Yes, I can elaborate on that. I meant the first thing, which is don't tense up your shoulders and upper arms while you're shooting. Not your upper body. You don't need to tense those muscles. It's kind of a bad thing. And I was not talking about floating the gun at all.
I don't know what that is. What's
that? Floating the gun?
Yeah. That's a Brian Enos reference where he talks about floating the gun in his book Beyond Fundamentals.
God, it's been years since I've read that, so I don't remember.
Yeah, and the concept that he was talking about where the gun you have a sensation of the gun kind of floating out in front of you and just kind of really smoothly going to the targets, that's kind of what he's talking about. And I'll say this, if you don't tense up your whole upper body to hold the gun, you might have a sensation of floating the gun, but that isn't what I was talking about because most people who own that book haven't read it, and it just... Oh. Sorry, like I wasn't going there with it, but I'm glad you're well read.
Huh.
Anything to say about that question, Matt?
No, I mean it's the opposite of. Did you talk about that article? I know it was on a duty thread, but there was an article about how you can imagine shooting as trying to hold a basketball between your shoulder blades. Like
yeah, the Jeff Gonzalez thing. We did talk about that, and it was a super fucked up article.
Yeah, so do the opposite of that.
Right. You should use your hands, right? It's called a handgun.
Just hold the gun.
Not a chest gun or a shoulder gun.
Yes. I mean, I know Seeklander says, to use your your chest muscles and your front shoulder muscles to pinch in on the gun.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
He's a big dude, right?
He's a big, maybe it helps. Maybe it helps him. I don't know.
Yeah, you'd think it'd help me because I'm weak and stuff, but I don't I never found any real advantage to it. It's just squeeze the crap out of it with your hands seems to be the right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you tense up your shoulders, you end up locking out your elbows.
Right.
And then you end up, the recoil rocks you back because your arms aren't absorbing the recoil.
Yeah, it's just not comfortable either. I don't want to be uncomfortable while I'm shooting.
That to me, that's it. Just be comfortable and hold the gun with your hands, and there you go. All right, let's hit the next question, Ken.
Okay. So the next question was, a shooting buddy noticed in a video that I lean forward quite a bit while shooting. He mentioned that quite a few fast guys stand pretty much straight up and that I should try and emulate that. I think he's right, but wanted confirmation. Is that something I should strive for, or does it not matter?
He's right. Pretty simple. It's just like the last thing that we talked about, which is hold the gun with just your hands, and you don't need to do all this other stuff with your upper body to hold the gun. Similarly, if you just have a forward weight bias, which is like shoulders in front of your hips or something. Just a little bit. Your weight is slightly biased forward. That's all you need. Most people are shooting like compensated open guns or like gamer loaded limited guns or 9mm like gay guns that don't recoil very much. You don't need that much. You just like shoulders in front of your hips is pretty much what most people need to control the recoil. If you're thinking that you're going to lean further forward and be able to shoot faster somehow, it's not going to work out that way. So you don't need to work hard at that. That's why you see most of the top shooters are standing relatively upright, fairly comfortable posture, and not really worrying too much about leaning forward very far. That's pretty much the deal. Matt, anything to add to that?
I mean, I just think if you're leaning way far forward, it makes it harder to explode out of positions that way. And just it just makes me think of that Israeli shooting video that I saw.
Candice put it in the show notes.
The guy is like squatting.
Yeah, send me that video again, because you'll have to be more specific on the silly Israeli shooting video.
I'll be honest with you.
You draw and you have your elbows up and you rack it, and then the guy squats. As the instructor's talking about the stance, the guy's in the stance and like shaking because you can't hold that position comfortably.
No, it's pretty much.
Oh, that one.
If you Google Israeli combat shooting or whatever, like you'll probably find several videos.
Yeah, I remember the one he's talking about. The one that he does it in super slow mo.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're leaning all the way forward at the waist, like just try to stand like that for 10 minutes. Like
that's what we need to do. So that's how we settle it. We'll put the Israeli combat shooting video in the show notes. If you have any questions about shooting stance, go watch that video and just do the opposite of what they do.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the first question, too. I mean, you get your recoil control out of your freaking hands, not from, like, all your entire body going forward into it. We're not shooting a full auto gun. It's... Anyway, whatever.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. If you want to get in touch with Angry Matt from supertactical.com, go to supertactical.com and talk to him because he'd love to hear from you. Right, Matt?
Right.
What the fuck do you even do on Super Tactical?
It's just my dopey blog. I mean, I post match videos there. When we do training class announcements, we put them on there. We sell the dopey video camera porn star sunglasses there. And that's pretty much it.
Wait.
The
porn star sunglasses?
The Pivothead thing.
Oh, right.
All right.
I did mention them by name, my bad.
Whatever. And if you want to talk to Candice, hit her up on the YouTube channel. And if you have any questions for me, head over to benstecker.com.
You can friend me on Facebook, too, because I'm not going to friend you. So.
You don't want to do that. You don't need more Facebook friends.